And we're live. Okay, so far I don't think anyone has joined, but the purpose of this meeting will be to discuss the ways that men and women misunderstand each other. So I'm joined by my friend Katy, and we used to be dance partners. We started teaching dance together 7 years ago. Was it? No, 6 years ago.
Yeah, I think. Yeah,
It's 2017, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and we've been good friends for a long time. And a lot of what we talk about is the ways in which men and women kind of have different perspectives and often assume that the other side thinks the way that they do. So for the purpose of this live stream, I wanted to reach out, give people the opportunity to ask questions as we cover this topic. And I'm just going to posit my own point of view, and Katy can call me an idiot, say I'm wrong, or whatever else we want to do. So, yeah, I think both men and women have long-term and short-term ideas of what they look for. I think women in general are more long-term focused. Women in general are thinking more about, okay, settle down with someone, get married, have kids. And men in general, certainly for the beginning stages of their life, are much more short-term focused. However, I do think there is a side of women that does there are plenty of women who like short-term hookups, one-night stands. I just think there's fewer in there than men.
Yeah, I agree. I think, yeah, not all women have got this like long-term thing going on, but I think most of the women do, or speaking for myself. And I think also when women think they want to go for the short-term relationship, they actually inside they don't. They just pretend to, and they think that things will work out somehow.
Yeah. I think there's also a lot of hope built into the hookup. Like, oh, it's an adventure, but maybe I can keep hold of him. And I think that does a lot of women a lot of damage, because it could be a guy that they know, he might even say, look, I'm not looking for anything serious. And yet there are many women who will try and still hold on and still try to hope that a relationship might come out of it.
Yeah, exactly, because they think, oh, I'm gonna be the one who's gonna change him, he's gonna change for me. Um, yeah, he's, womanizer, but, I'm gonna be the one that will turn him into the relationship guy and so on. I think some women really think this and they want to um, change the guy, but obviously the guy cannot change unless he wants to.
Yeah. Do you think there's something about, I don't know if it's ego, whether it's just like the Beauty and the Beast fantasy. Any idea like what it comes from?
Yeah, I would say from the women point of view, it can be like a low self-esteem thing.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, because like healthy woman. I mean, healthy approach from a woman would be, oh, okay, this guy doesn't want me, or like this guy doesn't want anything serious. So hands off. Like I'm not into this. But I think women with low self-esteem, they kind of like, oh yeah, but maybe, you know, uh, it will turn out well. Maybe, if I keep sleeping with him, um, we're gonna do something. If I'm trying harder, if I'm going to please him as he wishes, and I'm going to be available, then he notices this, and he would want to be with me for a long time. Um, Yeah, I think it might be um, one of the reasons women
Mm-hmm.
women do that. What do you think?
Um, like I said, I think it's based around it's more based around the hope that something longer term could come out of it. Not universally, of course, but I do notice that in the cases where they don't think that there's a potential for long term to come out of it, they have, like, men and women go in different directions around superficial traits. Like, women will think, okay, I can't hold on to him, but he's really hot. Whereas guys will think, she's not what I would really want, but I'm really horny and she'll do for now. And you kind of have this, like the evolutionary psychology term is the failure of cross-sex mind reading. So women will think, well, if he just did a one-night stand with me, then he must mean that I'm girlfriend material. Whereas men are like, I was just horny and she was available, and it doesn't necessarily carry the same meaning for a man.
Yeah, exactly. It's like the biology rule, that women always want to get the best, and they would rather be hurt by a very hot guy than to be kind of happy, secure, and stable with like average guy. Or, that's what a lot of the dating coaches say, and some of the psychologists as well. And yeah, I think there's some truth in this, because psychology says that women always want to marry up, and
Yeah, the
men
concept
don't.
of hypergamy. Yeah.
Exactly. So yeah, I think some women would be rather a side chick, or like someone not that important, like second best for a very hot guy, rather than to be the only one girl for average guy. Yeah, in a
Yeah,
sense.
and I think this is why when men start off and they think everything's meant to be a Disney fantasy, and then they see this guy literally has three girls chasing him, and he doesn't commit to any of them. And then there's other guys who just want one girl, and they get nothing, and it's very confusing for many men. And I think I think this is why understanding that these short-term dynamics are coming into play, that they're chasing, like, it's sort of like there's a long-term hope, but it's not at the forefront. So the qualifier being, oh, he's really hot, I hope I can get him, and it's therefore worth the risk.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, we like to think of women as risk averse, and they are in many regards, but around relationships, I think they're willing to take bigger risks. And this is why you have, like, on Tinder, you've got men swiping right 60% of the time, women swiping right 4.5% of the time, because they just want to go for like that top guy and hope that they can hold him down. It's the same why there are more single mothers than single fathers. It tends to be the same men having babies with lots of women rather than like the same, like, what was I saying with this? Yeah, when a man is a single father, it's very often that the relationship with the mother failed after that he had some sort of commitment. Whereas I think it's a very bad idea, but I think there are plenty of women out there who think, oh, I can definitely get him to commit to me if I get pregnant with him, even if he's got a history of getting other women pregnant.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. And I think it has something to do also how the women and men um, making the choices, like as you mentioned, the Tinder, right? I think most of the women, they really, if they're interested into something long term, they really look at the profile, they go through the pictures of the guy, they making, um, this like judgment, and then they decide like, oh, is the bio okay? Is he looking okay? Um, they're making like this list and the ticks, if the guy ticks the boxes, and then they swipe right on him. Not all the time, but I think the women generally spend more time on considering the guy, whereas like from my friends' experiences, I mean male friends, they swiping right almost on every girl they kind of find decent at the first sight,
Yeah.
and then once they actually match, then they starting to consider whether they actually want to like talk to the girl. They actually after that their match, they look at the profile of the girl and then they decide, oh yeah, do I actually like this girl? Do I want to be in touch with her? Whereas with
Yeah.
yeah, when you match, you kind of really like the guy already and you want to get in touch with him. So that's why I think a lot of women are confused. They got so many matches and not many guys are actually messaging them or like wanting to take them out. What do you think?
But who are they matching? Like, the statistics say like they're all matching on the same guys. So very often there are many, like every time I've seen screenshots of a woman's Tinder inbox, it's full of guys saying, hey, and sometimes they respond, they do the thoughtful thing of, oh, she likes climbing, and it's like, oh wow, you like climbing, I like climbing too, and they try and find some common ground, and it still doesn't necessarily get read. If the guy is not hot, and it's just kind of, he's matched. I mean, in my experience with dating apps, when I was using them, I had, a few, not a few, I had a decent amount of matches. But still, I think when I put my Tinder profile data through an analysis engine once, and I think like the average is 4.5, I think I had like 8. So I was doing really, really well, but still a lot of the girls that I matched with, when I would message them, no reply. Because they've also matched with the really hot looking guy who they're much more interested in.
Yeah, that could be one of the reasons, definitely. But I think also when women get lots of matches at the same time, it's really hard to kind of keeping up with it. If like 10 guys messages you, you kind of have to make a choice who's going to be the priority because you cannot really follow a decent conversation with like more guys, I'd say, if you really want to have a quality conversation. And another thing I think is that you really trying to put effort into the messages. But in my experience and also experiences of a lot of my female friends, it's like the guy just puts really minimal effort, like, hey, how are you? Hey, how you doing? I know it's really hard to make, like the first contact, but when you get a lot of this, hey, hi, hey, how you doing? How is it going? How's your weekend? You kind of like, oh, is that it? Did he actually read my profile? Because I've got some like questions that he can pick up on and he just ignored it and he goes for the safe, hey. So I think
Yeah.
some women are also really kind of annoyed by it, don't you think?
Yes, if they have anything on their profile, because there's plenty of women who have nothing on their profile, and it's just all their photos of themselves. And so, okay, great, you're pretty. What else? And I've literally like done openers of like, yeah, you seem like a very attractive looking woman. I'd love to know more about you. And that again has gone nowhere. And you kind of feel like you're a bit in a game of entertain me, peasant. Like when you're messaging them, they want, and yeah, I think in general, compared to cold approach, compared to meeting people through social circle, I think dating apps are total trash because, like I said, it's still the top 5% hottest guys who, for them, it's like ordering pizza because they can say hey and it works for them. And sometimes girls will message them first, whereas, I think I could probably count on all my fingers the number of times women have messaged me first. Yeah, I think, okay, we're spending quite a lot of time on dating apps. Let's go into, yeah, so I found this study by Parker and Berkeley in 2009. And it was about a man's relationship status and how it affected his attractiveness. And when women thought a man was single, 59% were finding this guy attractive. But when they thought he was in a committed relationship, 90% of women found him attractive. So this is this idea of pre-selection that if a girl is already with, like if a guy already has a girl, girls are more interested in him, which is another part of that dynamic of girls fighting over the same guy versus not being so interested in the guys who are actually single.
Yeah, yeah, and I think it has to do something with like the girl is thinking, oh, so some other girl can put up with him, so he must be
Yeah.
good, so he must be relationship material, and maybe he's got these characteristics that would be good for a long-term commitment. So, oh wow, now I'm interested. Oh, let's go for him. Whereas when there is like some womanizer or like these like hot guy, but he's single and he's notoriously single, the girl can think, oh, he's hot, but I don't want anything short term. I want somebody who's going to be committed to me.
Mm-hmm.
Then she thinks, oh, yes, so he's not that. He's hot, but he's not relationship material. I want somebody, you know, can be more than just a pretty face.
Yeah, and I actually think I think I've been excluded, assumed to be that I must not be relationship material, and then they've gone to, and then I've seen what they've gone for, and it's just like, really him, like, and that's that hurt my ego a bit at at the time, but yeah, I think there is this part of that relationship focus is also the openness to try to poach from some other girl. Like there's, and this is again, it goes into like this. There's in some ways there's this big sisterhood of like women united, but at the same time, plenty of plenty of women who will be willing to try to steal a boyfriend.
Hmm. Right.
Yeah,
And
but I think on that topic of attention from the opposite sex, I think many women assume that guys get turned on by knowing that. Ooh, okay, we've lost Katie. Let me try and get her back.
oh, yes,
Oh,
sorry.
okay, you're back. Yeah,
Yeah.
I
Question.
think. Yeah. Oh, do we have a question? No, we don't. Oh, so what I was saying was, I think many women assume that men think the same way that they do, and so when there's a guy that they're interested in, they will think, "Oh, I should tell him about all the other guys that are interested in me," and that is the opposite of what you
Mm-hmm.
want, because like men like their woman like they like their coffee, without someone else's dick in it, and like it's the completely opposite. Like we want to know that the girl is devoted to us, like that we are her preferred guy, that like she's not thinking, oh well, I've got all these options and I'm just gonna I don't know what I want. Like we want to know that we are what you want.
Mm-hmm.
We don't want, like, and it happens, I don't think that, yes, men will sleep with other guys' girlfriends sometimes. Like if they think they can get away with it, they won't do it to their friends. They like okay.
Mm-hmm.
Most guys have like a bro code at least where they say they
Yeah.
will never do that. But um, if a girl is taken, then we know, like for men, it's like I'm not going to even try. And it's one of the, like when a guy approaches a girl and she says that she's got a boyfriend, most guys will not, like genuinely from the heart, they will not be trying to change her mind. They'll be like, okay, cool, she's off limits.
Mm-hmm. Hmm. Yeah, this is quite surprising that you're saying because me personally, I never like thrown on the guys that I would be interested in that some other guys are interested and he should rather like hurry up or something like that.
Oh,
Um,
I have. I've had girls like show me her like Instagram and like say, "Oh, look at all these guys. They're interested in me." I thought, I don't want to know. I really don't want to know.
yeah, for me this is kind of like surprising because even when like um boys were asking me, oh, and are some other guys interested in you, or like, oh, do you also date other guys? I was kind of like, oh, what kind of question is that? Like, is it like some trick? Or why are you asking me this? Um, because now I'm just like, why would he want to know this actually, And if the answer is yes, would he be okay with that? If the answer is no, would he be okay with that? So I kind of always thought this is like trick questions.
Mm.
And yeah, I like never, and I think none of my friends were kind of like, oh boy, you gotta, really try now because there are some other men, you know,
Okay,
sort of.
you have sane friends who who understand.
Yeah, I live in a bubble, where we just don't do that.
I think it's, I don't know. I think maybe it's Czech culture versus Western culture a little. I mean, I know Czech Republic is, it's more secularized than many
Oh
Slavic
yeah, we're
countries.
definitely one of the most atheist country in
Yeah,
Europe.
the most atheist country in Europe, anyway. Maybe the world. I'm
I
not sure.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, so it's not really a thing, but
But you still, I still think um, you have the tradition of let men be men, let women be women. I don't think it's completely woke egalitarian utopia there. I think it's still quite, there's still
yeah,
like an appreciation for men to be somewhat macho and
mm,
to be like, you know, to pay for the first date and stuff like this.
yeah. We just had actually this discussion recently with my friends whether a man should pay for the first date or not anymore. And I think the majority of my friends say either men or women, they say he still should do that. You
Mm,
know, it should be something cheap like coffee or, some small drink. But he should do that because that's how he shows the interest. Otherwise, it's just like friends hanging out.
yeah,
So in my bubble, in my social bubble, this is still this kind of opinion that men should pay no matter what because that's the interest he's showing. It's not about equality. It's not about like some power move, but it's just about, hey, I'm interested in you in a romantic way. So yeah, I don't know what is like some other guys or other girls' opinions in the Czech Republic, but in my friends' bubble, this is it. So I've got female friends who say like, oh, if the guy doesn't pay or doesn't offer to pay on the first date, he's out.
yeah.
Because showing, oh, I'm not just interested in you that much.
Yeah, and in the same way, I think like I always pay for the first date, and I know I take a very provider focused mindset even well into a relationship.
Mm.
However, if the girl never offers for anything, if she's got some princess complex where it's always like there's an expectation that she should never contribute and she never tries, that's a big red flag to me.
Yeah, definitely. And it's the same too. Like I think we were just having discussion with my friends that even when we are out in the bar and some guy offers to get us a drink, we kind of feel uncomfortable because we always think, oh, he expects something now.
Yeah,
Even if the guy is really just like, oh, I like you, we have a good conversation, or just I want to get to know you and get you a drink, and maybe that's just it, and he just says hi and then he leaves. We feel the obligation, like, oh, he spent some money on us. Now we have to give him attention, no matter what. And
yeah,
we just kind of feel uncomfortable, even if the guy is nice, because I think in the past it was like that. When I was in my teenagers and we went out and some random guy bought you a drink, it was kind of like, I want something out of it.
mm.
So we rather said even no, like, oh no, sorry, like that's fine, I can pay for my drink, just as a matter of like safety and kind of like getting
Yeah.
me in the conversation with them.
I think if you were feeling uncomfortable about accepting a drink, you should never you should never do something that you're uncomfortable with. Never betray yourself. But I think if you like, even if you we're open to talking, to say, I know I'm happy to buy myself a drink, but yeah, let's chat for a little bit. I think that would be a good fallback position to take.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I think we're still learning with girls to do that because obviously, yeah, if the guy, if you don't like the guy, then we're fine to say, oh no, we're fine, it's okay. But the problem is when you actually like the guy and you want to be in touch with him, it's
Mm-hmm.
still kind of like, you know, underneath you feel, is he really that nice or does he expect something? How long should I, be in conversation with him? Should I buy him a drink as well? And it's kind of like awkward sometimes. But yeah, sometimes it goes smooth. Like we usually do that. Like he buys a drink and then you return the favor. That's just usually how it works. I think also even on the first dates or second dates, it's kind of like, okay, you bought the coffee, I buy the drink, or you bought the snacks, so I bought like some appetizers and so on. We kind of take turns, and
Mm-hmm.
I think fine. But still, I think most of the girls they kind of wait for the moment on the first date, if the guy will offer to pay. I think most of my female friends they're happy to pay for themselves or to split the bill, but they still wait if the guy is gonna say, "Oh, I'm gonna take it," because it's a very masculine thing to do. It
Yeah.
shows that he's decisive, and he, you know, is a gentleman, and he knows how to behave, and he knows what he's doing, and he's, this like, yeah, masculine guy.
Yeah, I mean, I tell the guys I coach, like, it's much better to just have a decision and like, find out where she live, like which part of the city. Oh, she's gone and she's coming back. You
Oh,
back?
sorry.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, don't worry.
I got interrupted sometimes.
Okay. Yeah, I think it's much better for the guy to find out like what part of the city she's in, and then find somewhere convenient for the both of you, and just say, "Hey, how about this at this time?" And I mean, I see guys going way too direct, but I just think be having the idea and taking the lead is very, very important.
Yeah, definitely. Taking the lead, and also when you mention this, is that he's considering the safety of the girl. I always think very high of a man who thinks of the safety and comfort of the girl. It's not a very, no, I'd say it's not common thing, but it's not every time that the guy actually thinking, oh yeah, you probably want to meet somewhere in public, so I would like to take you for the stroll here, but it's not that, lightened, so maybe we should go somewhere where it's more secure for you. And if the guy thinks like that, I instantly feel like, oh wow, that's great. He thinks of the safety. That's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's good to say too much, like to bring up the question of, oh, I might be dangerous. So, because I think just choosing somewhere that you know is going to be safe and central and lots of people around for the first date, I think that's enough. I wouldn't
Yeah.
say, oh, I want to make sure you're being safe, because you don't want to be too supplicative. You don't want to be like over explaining yourself.
Yeah, of course. Now I probably like put it that, he explained himself a lot. It was not like that. But I mean, the feeling that I got out from this, it's nice because some guys they like, oh, do you want to meet like here, there, like in some random dive bar, or do you want to go for evening stroll? And accidentally it's or coincidentally it's like close to the place where they live, and they kind of try, even if they're nice or they appear nice, you kind of get this weird feeling like, oh, is it really, does he have some ulterior motive?
Mm.
So yeah, I think, yeah, guys should really think about the safety of the girl at the
Yeah.
first date always.
So, being like my apartment, I mean, you stayed you stayed
Yeah,
here,
this,
yeah. Like, it's close to the city center, and it is good logistically, regardless of what regardless of what happens. Like, it's been a good place to when things have escalated to it's
Mhm.
very close to get to, and
Mhm.
when they haven't, I'm close to all the central spots to take a girl that's safe and comfortable for both of us.
Yeah,
But
for
yeah, I don't
sure.
want to get too much into dates, since like the purpose of this live is around the differences between men and women. But yeah, I think it was a
Mhm.
useful to cover. If we go on back to that initial attraction,
Mhm.
I think playing hot versus cold works on more women than men. I think it works on some men, and there's research that show that I think what they did is they said, oh, it was the days before Facebook dating, and they said we're investigating if Facebook can be used for dating, and they said, okay, this guy, he likes your profile, and this guy, he doesn't like your profile, and this guy, we don't know if he liked your profile or not, and the guy
Mm.
who women weren't sure if he liked them or not, those women found him more attractive.
Mhm.
And I think the uncertainty, and this is why a guy should like generally um, don't reveal like your feelings too soon. One, because men actually fall in love faster than women, and women take a bit more. Actually, there's another difference. Men fall in love faster. They do. If they're going to fall in love, they do it faster, and
Mhm.
um, women take some time, and women enjoy the process of falling in love more,
Mhm.
and the uncertainty of, oh, does he like, he loves me not. I think that's a very important process for women.
Mm. Yeah, I think it depends. Yeah, I think girls in general they like to talk among themselves, about their relationship things and like, oh, so how do I approach him? He said this. What should I do? And what do you think about that? And it's kind of like this girly chat that it's kind of nice. Yeah, so
Mm-hmm.
maybe they enjoy the journey, but I think some women could be fed up with this. I think older you get, the more you want to know where you stand with the
Yeah,
guy from the start, and you think like, oh, if he's not honest with me, or if he's playing hot and cold, or like he's sending the signals that I can't read, like I'm not interested in this anymore. I don't want to play any games. Or yeah, I think it has to do something with the age, and
yeah,
also with the attachment. Like if you've got secure attachment, you kind of don't want to be like high and low and constantly thinking what did he say and how he meant it and so on, and you kind of like don't have time, and um, you just don't want to put yourself into this. You want to be like honest from the start. So I think with the anxious attachment or the avoidant attachment, usually these two attachments attract each other. So
yeah,
there could be like this hot and coldness and like these cat and mouse play for some time. But yeah, in my opinion, like now in my 30s, I find this really toxic. So I wouldn't be really interested in a man who would be playing this hot and cold. I mean, yeah, obviously at the beginning you don't know, and you think you might know, but then you actually don't, because maybe both of you don't know. But once you establish something, and once you kind of have a conversation about what you want, then it should be clear.
yeah. I'm pretty sure disorganized, because I played the game as anxiously attached, chasing women who were like, oh, I like you, but not that much, I'm going to run away. and
Mm,
um, and then I was chasing, and now I'm like with someone who's very secure, and I'm finding avoidant tendencies in me of like, oh,
mm,
this doesn't feel like, I'm expecting it to blow up, so like
mm.
uh, I'm I'm reluctant to let myself attach emotionally, but it's something I'm aware of and working through.
That's
Um,
awesome.
but yeah, I think the hot and cold thing. And you see a lot of like TikTok trends and other bullshit like this. There, it's like, oh, make him obsessed with you. You don't like. Women wouldn't want the guy who is obsessed with them. They don't want the guy who's obsessed with them. They want the guy who is independent and that she can like. He's this solid emotional rock that she can lean against. Not like women will not want the guy who's chasing them. They will run from that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. I think the women really want like decisive, strong men with strong lead, because they search these characteristics in the men in general, I think, because that's a very masculine thing, and that's uh, what I think women could be lacking, because women in general are some women are emotional and they're caring and nurturing, and they might be indecisive. It depends on their hormonal level. They run by their cycle and so on, and they seek this stability that the man can provide, with his lead and decision, and being supportive, but being the man.
Mm-hmm.
I agree with that.
Yeah. Um, okay, let's change. Do I have anything else on here? Let's talk about another attraction thing. So, uh, I've compared the women chasing career in the hope, like, if you do it for yourself, that's fine. But women chasing career in the hope that it gets them a better man, I've compared that to guys who pursue competitive bodybuilding in the hope it gets them women. It's like a little bit. You want you want to be with a woman who can work hard, but it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't have to be. It a guy can find a girl who works in Starbucks super attractive. He can be a millionaire. She can be in Starbucks, and he will happily get together with her if she is beautiful and a nice person.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas what I like, if she is a some she's really rich and like runs her own company, it's like, great, good for you, but no impact on attraction.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Whereas
I
the other
think.
way around, I think women recognize this ambition a lot more. And it's like I said, like this bodybuilder, like women like a guy who's in good shape, but
Mm-hmm.
they don't want a guy who is like, he looks like he's covered in dick skin and he's like, just, you see veins, and it's just really, he's on steroids and it's really extreme. And it's like when people throw themselves into their career like that, thinking that it's going to get them more attraction, doesn't necessarily work.
Yeah, I definitely agree, because I think women want moderation. You want a guy who's taking care of himself, and obviously, by being in a good shape, shows a lot about you taking care of yourself.
Yeah, about discipline and focus and stuff like
Yeah,
this.
and exactly, and you're healthy. Um, but if the man is overdoing it, then what is it for? uh, you know, the girl can think like, oh, does he have so low self-esteem that he keeps overdoing it? And like, if he's on some steroids or hormones, like, will he be healthy? You know, could I have children with him? Women
Yeah,
always think long term, and they don't really want that. And if he's spending so much time in the gym, the woman thinks like, oh, will he have time for me?
yeah. I mean, shameless plug. I've got a video on how I spend less than an hour a week in the gym. Find it. It's called "Why I Spend Less Than an Hour, 1 hour per week on everyone is training too much." That's the title. Yeah, but I think I don't know if men think through the career aspect that much. It's just not on our radar of the things that are attractive. Like, is she able to hold down a job? Great. Doesn't matter what the job is.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Mm-hmm.
like I am no more attracted to a girl who can keep hold down a job in as a receptionist than I am as a lawyer. It's like, that's just for her. It's not changing how I feel about her.
Mm. And do you think that men can fear high successful women?
I don't think it's fear. I think that's a cope. I think it's a projection. Like I'm not intimidating. I'm not intimidated by something that cannot beat me up. Like I think it's easy to say, oh, I'm a certain way, and anyone, and if someone doesn't like, or if someone doesn't value me based on the thing I think they should value me for, then they're the problem. It's like if I had a Star Wars like action figure collection, and then saying, oh, women are just stupid because they can't appreciate. No, I'm not. That's just I can do these things for myself, but to expect other people to be attracted to something that I do for myself is, I don't think that's fair. I don't think that's reasonable. I don't think it's something to be feared. I don't think fear is or intimidation is a very actual, real thing that men feel about career. I do think, though, one of the statistics of when women will initiate divorce is if they've progressed in their career and the guy has not. If he's stayed at the same level and now she is out owning him, she's extremely successful in her career. That's actually where I think not only are divorce statistics higher, but the relationships in general of lower quality, because there's I'm not saying it has to be this way, but one of the ways in which masculine from feminine polarity is experienced is through the provider dynamic. And if the man is not felt to be a provider, he may be a provider in other ways, not just monetarily, obviously. But if he's not felt to be a provider, I think that can really upset the relationship and make the woman feel like she's looking after a child, like she is mothering him, like taking care of him, rather than he is the man. He's not the man of the house anymore.
Yeah, and she loses the respect for him, which I think is always the beginning of the end.
Yeah. Yeah, I actually think this was a point when I did the live with Sanas about respect. I think men and women have different definitions of respect, because when we hear phrases like, "Oh, you should respect women," it doesn't make sense to men, because it's like, well, we don't know each and every individual woman. We don't respect all men because they're a man. We don't think, oh, you have a penis, I respect you. That's not how we think. Respect is something in male minds. Respect is something earned, and so we don't automatically respect anyone. And to be told to respect someone it just doesn't make sense. Like, you can't respect someone for what they are. You respect someone for what they do, or what they're capable of, that they've demonstrated. Like, I can see, like, if I see it, like, going back to the bodybuilder, I could, at least, even if I don't want to be like that, I can respect him, that he's put in a lot of hard work to get there. Or I can respect someone who is a really, like, they're at the top of their sport. I can respect them for that, but I don't know them as a person. I don't necessarily respect everything about them. Like, they could be a great footballer, but he keeps cheating on his wife. I will respect his ability at football, but not his ethical integrity. So respect, I think, for men is very much it's something earned. And I think, I don't know, do you have any ideas about how women see respect? Because I don't know. I think when it's like respect, when people are told respect women, what does that mean?
Yeah, that's interesting questions. Question. Yeah, I think respect towards women is like to behave decently in her presence and towards her. So I think some level of gentleman behavior is expected by women. So that's the basics, I'd say. And like not behaving like macho, not like overtalk the woman when she speaks, or like not offering advice when she's just kind of venting. And I think these things could be considered that men respect women, but in broader sense, I don't know. I think it's very individual.
And I think that on, obviously, I think respecting someone, there's something about, is respect the right word to do? Like, maybe it is, but like, you're not going to, how we treat other people is not by virtue of their gender, it's just by virtue of them being a human being. And that's because that's our ethical framework that we work in. Like, we don't, we're not rude to people unnecessarily. I think, I don't know, maybe it's a case of don't disrespect rather than actively respect. Like, don't treat people in a derisory way. But but for me, respect has a positive connotation. Like, I cannot get around the idea that it's something earned. But you did say something actually in your explanation that I wanted to touch on, and that is well, two things actually. One is about explaining or mansplaining, and the other is on fixing. So this again, I think, is a failure of men and women to understand how each other think. There's a famous video on YouTube called "It's Not About the Nail," and it's a woman. Have you seen it?
No, I haven't.
Okay, so basically, there's this woman. She's saying like, "Oh my gosh, I keep on getting these really strong headaches, and I don't know what's causing them, and all my sweaters are getting snagged, and I just wish it would stop." And then she turns, and you see that she's got a nail sticking out of her forehead, and her guy is like, "You know, if we could just get that nail out of your forehead," and she's just like, "Stop trying to fix it." Like, so she just wants like him to just say, "Oh, that it's so difficult," and he just wants to take the nail out of her head, and so that she wouldn't get these problems. And I think that's how infuriating it is to men, because we want to just say, "I can see the problem. If we fix this problem, you stop feeling bad." But that's not necessarily what women want.
Yes, I agree because I think most of the time a woman wants comfort. She just wants to be comforted because that's how she interacts with her girls, with her female friends. She's venting and the girls listen and they nod the head and they say, oh my God, tell me more. And they don't offer any solution because they feel that the woman just needs to, get it off her chest. Whereas men, yeah, think differently. There is a problem, we want to fix it, and problem solved, done. But yeah, that's not necessarily what the woman wants in case. So, I know that psychologists say that as a man, you should always ask a woman, oh, babes, do you want to just talk about it and I just listen? Or do you want me to offer some solution? And then the woman says, that or that, and then you can approach it even if you don't understand why the woman just wants to talk. But usually woman, when she's talking, she's relaxing and she's kind of feeling better instantly just talking about the problem.
Yeah.
So sometimes she really doesn't even think it's a problem. She just like something bad happened to her and she feels strong negative emotions and she wants to share them because then she feels better. And that's just what it is.
Yeah.
And I think if you kind of understand this as a man, then your relationship will always improve.
Yeah. And I think it's really important for men to understand that this is a process that they have to go through before they can accept any help. It's not that they can't ever accept help, but just let them. Like, men, we do stuff so that we will feel better. Women kind of need to feel better in order to be able to do stuff. It's just a difference of priority.
Yeah, definitely.
And yeah, so, and the other one was on explaining when you don't feel you need an explanation. So very often what gets described as mansplaining is men talking to women the same way that men talk to men. And I'm not saying that there is never cases when men speak in a condescending way to women, but very often I would say there's more false positives than there are real instances of men being condescending to women by virtue of their gender. I mean, I can sometimes I speak condescending to a woman because I view her as an equal and I think she's a fucking idiot. So I can speak condescending then if I think she's full of shit. But I'm not doing it because of the fact that she's a woman. I think I'm doing it because I think she's an idiot. On the topic, but in terms of how men talk to each other in general, men really like to, we start off from the basics and we make sure we make sure the other guy understands where we're starting. So we'll give the very basic understanding. If the guy's like, yeah, I know, I've done that, we're expecting him to interrupt. Yeah. And if a girl doesn't do that, we'll just sit there and think, okay, yeah, great. I'm being very helpful. She doesn't understand this, and so I'm being helpful right now. And then when she gets angry at that, we're like, what the hell? We were just expecting you to come back and communicate. It's just not. I didn't want to preach. I want it to be like a two-person interaction. And if the girl's just like, I feel bad about this, but I'm not going to say anything, then yeah, it's a surprise to you guys.
That's very true. There's the difference in the thinking process. Yeah, because I've been there and I've heard of this, and it's true that when you look at men, how they interact together when somebody is explaining, and the guy's like, oh yeah, I know this. Just skip to this part. I want to know this part. Explain this to me. Whereas women are kind of like, okay, so he's absolutely thinking I'm an idiot. So let's see how long this is going to take, and let's see when he actually finds out that I'm not idiot, and when he actually stops, like, this is ridiculous, and then they just think, oh, is it really still going on, or this is becoming really ridiculous, like now I'm mad. And they don't say something, they just, this is just going on in their head, and then they go to their friends like, oh, you know what, this guy was mansplaining this to me, like, what the hell. And it would be fun if she just says, oh, I know this, can you just skip to a different part, or like, can we just not talk about it because I'm expert in this field, you don't have to tell me. But I think sometimes women really feel offended, like, oh, I'm expert in this field and he knows that, and now he's like talking down to me, and maybe the man doesn't even know that she's expert in that, if she doesn't say it. So
yeah.
Could be.
So this is because male communication is optimized for information transfer, and we require the other party to be assertive, to say, I don't need this. Tell me about this. So yeah, and
whereas I think women were.
Go on.
No, whereas women were more, tuned into the other person's feeling, so we kind of listen, the color of the voice, the tone of the voice, the non-verbal things that are not said, but you kind of take the hint.
So, yeah, and men, we don't care how you say it, it's what you say. Like, just fucking give me the information.
Exactly.
Okay, I think the last thing we talked. Let's go full circle back to attraction. I think what women think that men think is attractive, in terms of physical attractive, is not necessarily what men actually find attractive. Example. When women say, oh my gosh, I did my nails and he didn't even notice. Men do not give a singular fuck about a woman's nails. Like, as long as it's not ridiculous, she can have them however she wants.
Yeah, true.
And I think the hierarchy of what's important is totally different. And I think things like, I was responding to a comment earlier today on another creator's channel, where a woman was just saying, like, oh, yeah, but I bet you're chasing after these super skinny girls. And I'm like, actually, very few. There are guys who go for super skinny girls, but not many guys want really like the type on the catwalk. Not many guys go after that sort of girl. It's basically that look is designed by women and gay men. Not many straight men are going for like that anorexic look. But I think women blame men for that, and it's not necessarily coming from that. Men just want a woman to be fit and healthy and to have some discipline around food, but not necessarily to be stick thin.
Yeah, that's true. But it's like this evergreen thing that women being on diet, women trying to lose weight. Yeah, but I agree that it's more like women thing. You know, women like to talk about it with their friends. I don't really see the point because I never had issue with the weight. I'm actually always trying to gain weight rather than lose
Yeah,
weight.
yeah, you're very small.
Yes. So I never understood these things, but it's probably because I've never been in their shoes, or I can't imagine, the way of thinking, or what leads them to always feel like not happy with their body. Um, so yeah, I never could really join this discussion, but yeah, I think it's true. The women are more concerned about what other women say rather than what men say.
Yeah. Um, and that's also, I haven't written this on my list, but I think I need to find the study. I don't have it with me right now. But one thing that is actually something that happens that another thing that women do against each other and then blame men for is slut shaming. Now, if you say to a man, "Oh, that girl, like she will sleep with you, like she'll sleep with anyone," like the guy's like, "Oh, thank you for the lead. I'll try that later." Whereas, what it exists to do is to try to disqualify her as a long-term partner, like, because it's like, oh well, she's going to cheat on you get with her, you're going to cheat on her, but she's going to cheat on you. But it's not something, I'd say, for men. Men will still sleep with a girl who is a slut. There's no gain for individual men in shaming. It's more a case of women fighting between each other to try to disqualify each other.
Yeah, I think it could be that, yeah, because if the woman fears the competition, she, uses her, like, not no power, but she, uses every way how she can degrade her, somehow.
Well, this is how, like, when men are violent with each other, we hit each other. When women are violent with each other, they like tell things behind each other's backs.
Yeah, it could be that, really. They could use like some like nasty words and you know, like intrigues and
Oh, the
yeah,
best way, the
spreading
best.
the rumors.
Yeah, it's like, oh my gosh, I'm so worried about her because she's been sleeping with so many guys and I don't know. And it's like,
Yeah,
yeah, it's like this
like this
fake concern
fake.
to relay the information.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So it's not like direct, but it's very indirect. But sometimes it could be very sophisticated. Yeah, especially if the woman seeks revenge or some kind of, you know.
Okay, so we've been going around an hour and there haven't been any questions come in this time. So it's been quite a quiet day, to be honest. But this will be up on YouTube for a while. Let's see if anyone has any questions in the comments section later. Okay, so thank you very much for this, and I will end the stream now.
Okay, thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's been a real pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.